Hi, and welcome to the NLHA channel where today we will be briefly looking at unmarried couples living together. So, in general, when an unmarried couple lives together in a relationship that resembles a marriage, we refer to it as uh, cohabitation, or we say that the couple is cohabiting. And throughout, if I refer to marriage, it will include, I meant to say, or I mean to say, a civil union or any other type of union that resembles a marriage. So there's a misconception in South Africa that I found in talking to quite a number of people over the years that when you live together with a person for a period of time, then you become a common law partner, like a common law wife or common law husband. That is unfortunately a big misconception. There is no such thing as a common law marriage or common law spouse in South Africa. The common law does not a common law marriage is not recognized in South Africa, which means that I found that people would say if you've lived with somebody for longer than 6 months, then that person is automatically your common law spouse, like your common law husband or your common law wife. I've also heard where people say no, but if it's longer than 2 years, etc. So unfortunately, it's not true. So there is no recognized common law marriage in South Africa. Further to this, when couples live together, as I mentioned, we refer to it as cohabiting or cohabitation. Apart from the fact that common law marriage is not recognized in South Africa, cohabitation is also not regulated by the law of South Africa, by laws in South Africa. So essentially, that means that when a couple live together or when they cohabitate, they do not necessarily receive the same protection as a married couple would. Now, what can couples do that finds themselves in that specific or in this specific situation? So there are many reasons why couples decide or why couples find themselves in this situation. And I'm not going to go into the reasons why people decide to live together and not enter into a marriage. There might be reasons that we would not understand, but irrespective of the reason why you and your partner decide to cohabit, um, the main concerns should be how do you protect your rights and your obligations as a couple. And this can normally be achieved by way of a cohabitation agreement. So, let me first of all say that a cohabitation agreement it's got nothing to do with love, or it's got nothing to do with not trusting a person or anything like that. A cohabitation agreement is purely and simply an agreement that regulates the rights and the obligation of the couple while that agreement is applicable. So it's got nothing to do with you don't love your partner, you don't trust your partner. It's a protection of rights, both your rights and your partner's rights. That is how we achieve the protection of uh, couples in a cohabitation um, scenario. Because what happens is the agreement then gets regulated or then falls under the ambit of contract law. And once it falls under the ambit of contract law, then essentially it becomes something that can be enforced upon one another or against others um, based on the principles of contract law. So what do you normally see? What do you normally see in a cohabitation agreement? First, let me first and foremost say the following. A cohabitation agreement does not constitute a marriage. As mentioned, it only regulates the rights and obligations based on the principles of contract law. So you're still not married, but there are a certain amount of protection that is afforded under contract law. Something else that I want to mention is, yes, you can go and download a free cohabitation agreement from the internet or wherever. If you are going to do that, just don't do it. Then rather be without one, because you will just create more legal trouble for yourself if you use these free downloadable cohabitation agreements, because a cohabitation agreement must be, in my view, custom to the couple, and it can only be done through detailed consultation, because there are changes in the law that's not taken into consideration when these free samples are drafted. So things change in the law, and you might be downloading something from 2007 and it might no longer be applicable. And when there's an issue, then the agreement that you sign doesn't really mean anything. So that's the reason I'm saying, if you are going to go the route of downloading a cohabitation agreement off the internet and editing that, don't waste your time, just don't do it. So because this is an agreement, obviously it can be entered into verbally as well, or in writing. So it can be a verbal agreement or it can be an agreement in writing. However, I advise that to have the agreement in writing and have it signed. So normally in the cohabitation agreement, what we would address is stuff like joint property, where the couple have joint property. For example, they bought a vehicle together, they bought a house together. Um, what I normally do is we put a list of the couple's assets as an annexure to the agreement. What that allows for is that the couple doesn't have to constantly come back to a legal practitioner to pay for amending the agreement just because of assets. They can basically just amend the annexure and the agreement remains in place. So it's just for ease of use as well, because during the course of time, people acquire more assets, they get rid of assets. There's a lot of movement in assets. Hence the reason that we use that as an annexure and we annex it to the agreement. Then other things that we address is stuff like policies, insurance policies, pension funds, and then also how the agreement will come to an end. And that is normally either, for example, through marriage. Once the couple enters into a valid marriage, then the agreement automatically comes to an end. So those are the types of things that you would put into the agreement, and it would be through a very robust discussion and understanding of how the couple works that we draft a custom and bespoke agreement for the couple. So ask yourself the following question, especially in the times that we find ourselves in now, very uncertain times. We are faced with the pandemic, and we hear on a daily basis of people passing away. So what happens in your current situation if your partner um, dies? Let me use a quick example. So let's say if you and your partner bought a vehicle. The vehicle was in your partner's name. However, you also contributed in some way or other towards the vehicle, whether it be you were responsible for the maintenance, or you were responsible for 50% of the payments of the vehicle. That vehicle is in your partner's name. So if he passes or she passes away, it becomes part of your partner's estate. And because you are not recognized um, under the law, you do not have a claim to that vehicle just because of the fact that it was your partner. That's the type of scenarios that we are faced with when you are confronted with issues relating to cohabitation. And a cohabitation agreement does not exist. A partner passing away is just one example, because another example could be, what if the couple breaks up? Talking about a partner passing away, that brings me to another point, and there was another video that we made of this as well, which related to having a will and testament. So we always advise clients where we draw up a cohabitation agreement to, at the same time, for each individual couple, also draw up a will and testament, so that there are no issues when it comes to the assets or the estate of the partner who is left behind, should one of the partners pass away during the existence of a cohabitation agreement. So that is, in a nutshell, um, what cohabitation entails. And if you are living with someone um, in such a scenario, cohabitation or cohabiting, and that includes even if you are engaged or be married to that person, but you are not yet married but living together, please reach out to us and let us provide you with a structured, tailored, and bespoke cohabitation agreement. Um, I can assure you that not having a cohabitation agreement will cost you much, much more in the event where there's a dispute, or where the relationship comes to an end for whatever reason, and now assets are being disputed. Then things become ugly, and you can literally end up paying thousands and thousands in legal fees to have your rights enforced, which is very difficult because, as mentioned throughout, there is no current laws in South Africa that regulates cohabitation or that recognizes the common law marriage. Until next time, goodbye, and I hope to hear from you soon if you are in this situation. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and until next time, goodbye.